For this upcoming game against the Cleveland Browns and going forward, the Jets have to run the ball more. Hey, what's going on? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today I'll be talking about why I think the Jets need to run the ball more. And before we get started, I just wanted to mention you can follow on socials at Matt O'Leary NY. If you haven't already, please make sure to check out the Just Jets podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can call in, leave me your questions, and I will try to get to them on the show, react to the game. We'll preview the game coming up. It's a whole lot of fun. Make sure to check that out. So the title of this video is The Jets Need to Run the Ball More, which seems like something that I wouldn't say, but when your backup quarterback throws the ball 59 times in a game, that's exactly what's going to come out. And I've seen a lot of people say, well, they were down in the game. They're down by a couple of scores. That's why he threw so much. Not really. In the first half, when it was a one-score game, Flacco threw the ball 24 times. So on pace, it was 23 or 24. Excuse me. I'm going to be off by one, maybe, potentially. So he was on pace for like 46 to 48, somewhere in that range of passes in a game, which is way too much for someone like Joe Flacco. You want him right in that 30 to 35 range, no more, and potentially no less, but right around that spot. Flacco had one rushing attempt, but between Breece Hall and Michael Carter, who it seemed like the Jets' identity was going to be to establish the run the football, and build off the play action. Now, I know that they don't have Zach Wilson, so maybe that kind of changed a little bit, but Breece Hall had 6 carries for 23 yards, so 3.8 yards per carry, which obviously isn't great. But Michael Carter was pretty effective, 10 carries for 60 yards, which is 6 yards per carry. So 16 total rushing attempts between the two running backs is way, way, way too low of a number. That needs to be up over 20. I'm not saying you run Michael Carter, 25 times, and Breece Hall another 20, and you throw the ball 10 times. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, they need to run the ball more. They just need to be significantly more balanced. And even Mike LaFleur would agree. He had the quote earlier in the week when he was like, when we saw the box score, it sucked to see how many times Flacco threw, which, it did. That was way, way, way too much. But when you look at the Cleveland Browns specifically, I think they're a little susceptible on the interior of their defensive line. They are starting Jordan Elliott and Taven Bryan. So Jordan Elliott is someone who has 4 starts in 3 years, hasn't really done a whole lot. And Bryan is a former first rounder. If that name sounds familiar to you, he was a first round pick from Jacksonville in 2018. He's got 18 starts in 5 years. So obviously that is a little bit of a weaker point on this Browns defense. On the edges, I'm worried about Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett. Obviously, Myles Garrett he's unbelievable. He's one of, if not the best edge rusher in the game, just about. And yes, he's known for his, rushing the passer, but his speed makes it difficult to run on his side. And we know Jadeveon Clowney, while not necessarily a pass rushing specialist, is very, very good in the run game as an edge defender. Their linebackers are also really quick. Safety could be potentially a little bit of an issue for them, I'd imagine, but their corners are solid. Not to the point where you're afraid to throw. I'm not, scared to throw at the Browns corners, but I think if there's an area where the Jets could potentially exploit, it would be their interior offensive line versus the interior defensive line of the Browns. Obviously, AVT I thought looked really good in his first game of the year this past week, in week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens, while Laken Tomlinson maybe had his worst game as a pro. It was really, really rough for Laken. So need him to bounce back, because they paid him pretty good money to come in here. He's a Pro Bowl caliber left guard. He has to play like it. I know George Fant struggled to the left of him, and obviously it might be a tough week for both tackles, both Fant and Max Mitchell, because of who they're going against in Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett. But there's no reason that the 3 guys on the interior, Connor McGovern, AVT, and Laken Tomlinson, can't get some kind of push in the run game against that interior defensive line. If you want to have a chance in this game, that's where I think you have to go. It's not a massive, massive advantage, but you got to find your little ways and the little things to do. But can't have Breece Hall running the ball just 6 times in a game. Can't have Michael Carter with 10. I would like to see both of those guys up over 10, maybe like maybe close to 30 combined carries. somewhere in that range, 18-12, something like that. This team is, I don't know. I just felt like they got away from their identity in week one. They came out in a 3 tight end set, which was a little weird, especially because they seem to want to put Lawrence Cager on the field a lot, which I like Cager, but not to that level. And then they really got away from it in the second half and went back to an 11 personnel team and was trying to throw the ball a lot. So obviously we know Joe Flacco has to get the ball out of his hands quicker, something he didn't do very well in week one, but Mike LaFleur also has to put his team in a good situation. And I think you win this game by running the ball and keeping it away. I expect a low scoring, ugly, sloppy kind of game. So if you win 17-14, 20-17, maybe at the most, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if neither team gets the 20 points. Now I say that and it'll be a shootout, but yeah, I think it's in the Jets' best interest to start trying to run the ball a little bit more. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Once again, I am Matt O'Leary. Subscribe here if you're new. Give the video a thumbs up. Share it with a friend, and I'll talk to you next time.